Good morning, everybody. I'm glad you're here today on this momentous occasion. As you know, this is the second annual International Overdose Awareness Day, and I have something to read in just a minute, but I'm glad that you're all here. In a few minutes, we'll have some folks that are doing some Narcan training inside, and they'll come out and enjoy us in just a minute. Also today, when you are finished having your thoughts about today, would you please take a moment and walk up to the memorial, which is up by the flag. We lost two boys in our fight in Afghanistan years ago, and there's a memorial up there, and if you'd take some time to go up and honor those two boys that are listed on the stone up there, I would appreciate that, if you got the time at the end of the day. So, good morning. I'm John Waterhouse. I'm the temporary director of Mountain View Prevention Services, and proud to be. And we'll get going with our agenda. We'd like to thank our organizations this morning, Mountain View Prevention Services and the Northern Region Center for Independent Living and the WIND, and the Northern New York Community Foundation, and the Behavior Health and Wellness, and of course Credo up here this morning. Your attendance for this event demonstrates your interest in the overdose crisis facing our nation and the community. Whether a personal event in your life has drawn you here today, or if you have a passion for helping your community, we hope that keeping the challenges of addiction in the light motivates others to support our friends and neighbors in seeking solutions and healing. The International Overdose Awareness Day is a global event held on August 31st each year and aims to raise awareness of the overdose and reduce the stigma of drug-related death. It also acknowledges the grief felt by families and friends, remembering those who have met with a death or permanent injury as a result of drug overdose. We hope that you find a part of these proceedings that speaks to your private thoughts and feelings. And with that, I would like to introduce Mike Talbot for a proclamation. Mike?
Thank you, John. I'm honored that you would invite me here today. I'd like to think that we, the county legislators, all of Lewis County, are as concerned as you are about the problem facing our community. And with that, we did do a proclamation, and I'd like to read it at this time. Whereas International Overdose Awareness Day is recognized around the world as a day to acknowledge individuals whose lives have been lost and to raise awareness about the risk of overdose. And the goal of Overdose Awareness Day is to publicly challenge the stigma associated with substance abuse and overdose. And during 2016, there were 4 Lewis County residents who died of an opioid overdose, and 10 more who have lost their lives year to date. And whereas Overdose Awareness Day provides an opportunity to acknowledge the devastation endured by families, friends, and communities when a death occurs from overdose. And whereas this day allows us to recognize overdose from all drugs and allows us to speak and educate more broadly about the issues while making a commitment to prevent future deaths, with the knowledge that accidental overdoses are largely preventable. And whereas Overdose Awareness Day is meant to send a strong message to individuals who formerly used or who are currently using substances that they are valued. Now therefore, I, Michael A. Table, as chairman and on behalf of the Lewis County Board of Legislators, do hereby proclaim and encourage observance by all of our citizens to recognize International Overdose Awareness Day on August 31st, 2017. And it's signed by Michael Table, myself, chairman. Thank you.
As some of you may know, Mike is retiring from the Lewis County Board of Legislatures, and he's given tirelessly of his time. Mike, how long have you been on the board?
14 years.
14 years. I would think that would be 14 claps from each one of us. How about it? Give him a round of applause. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Stop. Perfect. Very nice job. This next part of our celebration this morning, or our remembrance this morning, somebody asked me to do a reflection. And after 4 or 5 days of driving to work and driving home to work and nearly hitting a deer and not really finding the words to do that, I decided we'd do something different. So bear with me. If you could make a circle right around in this direction so that it ends up on one side of me on this side and one side of me on the other side, we'll do this.
We're getting there. We'll get there.
That's a terrible circle. Move in. Move in. So you're next to somebody. Sounds good. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to take a moment. Make sure you're within arm's reach of your neighbor. Take a moment to think about somebody in your family. Think of somebody, a friend. Think of the person that you're here for today. And think about the words that you'd say, either privately or publicly, and kind of put those thoughts in your head. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to grab the hand of the person next to you. We have some others joining our circle. Come on, folks, we'll wait.
I wanted to make sure the balloons don't go away.
Got to make it a little bit bigger. This circle takes everybody. Lisa, don't fall over now. The sun is shining on us. That must be a sign.
Mm-hmm.
So as you think about that person in your life, your friend, that has suffered some tragedy with overdose addiction, I want you to think about that. And if you want to close your eyes, that's fine. And then we're all together going to raise our hands up into the sky and hold them there for about 10 seconds and have those private thoughts. You ready? Go. Raise your hands up. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Leah. And just on time, we've released some balloons. And as you can see, they're heading in the prevailing direction, headed downtown over Lowville. We planned this to be that way because there's unity in today. And there are exactly 89 balloons in that package. Now, wait a minute, here it goes.
They're traveling to heaven.
They're traveling the heavens. There they go. Perfect. We couldn't have done that. Just as planned. Leah Schneider is the director next door at Credo, and she's next to come to the mic. Leah, she's also pooped because together this morning we put these tents up, and we're glad nobody was here to help because it was not good. It was not good.
Yeah, it's an understatement. I want to take this opportunity to introduce our guest speaker for today's event. This young woman who can share about what it is like to lose a loved one to the abuse of opiates. Brittany has been asked to speak about her experiences with having been touched by overdose. Brittany lost her best friend unexpectedly and has insight to share about how the disease of opiate addiction has affected her. Brittany? You're all right.
This is awesome already, right? Okay. So, in November 14th, I got a phone call that
Right into that mic there.
that my my best friend was found passed away in her car, and no one had found her for 4 days. And the person who was with her just left her there, climbed over her body, and locked her in her own car. And no one wanted to call and tell me. They didn't know how to, so my ex-boyfriend's mother called me and stayed on the phone with me for about 3 hours. And I didn't believe it at first. I called her 1,800 times and she wasn't answering. And then the day came for her funeral, and her parents blamed me for what happened, and I wasn't allowed to say goodbye to her. They said it was my fault, and even though me and her got clean together, it was just one bad day she had, and she didn't get a hold of me. She got a hold of her old drug dealer, and that was the last time I ever talked to her. She told me she was going home and she'd come over the next day, which obviously never happened. And I haven't talked about it till now. Not really. And it'll be a year in November. It's coming up way too soon. And it just sucks. It helps me a lot stay away from everything that I was doing before, for sure. Because I have to see her little boys grow up without her now. And I'll never get to say goodbye, really. And I don't know, just... It didn't help 2 days after I found out about her. This kid I knew his entire life overdosed from the same thing in his bed. So it was just one thing after another. And I've never touched anything since that day. I heard both of those things, and I've seen so many of my other friends overdose from the same stuff, knowing that all their friends before them had. And I see the dealer just walking around like she didn't do anything wrong. And that kills me the most, that she gets to still be here and all these other people don't. And it's not fair. And I'll never think it's fair. But I know she's probably so proud of me right now, because I never do this ever before in my life, but I said it was for her, so, and it was worth it. So
Good. All right, thank you. Thanks, Brittany. We also want to open a time up for anyone else that feels that they want to say a few things or have their own reflection. Feel free to stand where you are if you feel that you want to share, or feel free to come up to the mic. Okay, I won't make us stand here and not say much. But at this time, Trish, I know some of you have already done your remembrance card, but Trish is going to kind of give anyone an opportunity to write their remembrance index card and then kind of explain what we did for today.
For ones who want to, we have index cards on the table. If you want to write somebody in remembrance, we do ask if you do place a name, just use the first initial of the last name or leave the last name out. It's in remembrance to a loved one. It's encouragement words to maybe somebody that you know that's struggling with addiction. Maybe it's somebody who's struggling in their recovery. You can place anything on that card, anything that comes to your heart, and we will go and place them on the remembrance tree over there where some have already been placed. So if you would like to, you can go ahead to the table and fill some out, and we can get them into the tree. Does anybody still have one in their hand?
Thing.
All right, we're going to do a moment of silence for all the people who've lost friends that maybe we're losing out.
For those of you that are able, if you want to join me in saying the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference.
There are some balloons that already flew away, so we do have a bag full still. So if anybody wants to come up and grab a balloon, please, and you can, as you and hold on to it. Not forever. We can always do more. Sure, thank you. I'm getting there. You're welcome.
It's all right.
There we go. I caught it with my forehead. Too bad I couldn't catch the bag like that. We got a few more. If you want to take a second with a balloon and just remember the person that you love and let it go up to the sky.
They'll find the other ones.
You can't get them now, baby. They're gone.
We have to die.
Well, in closing, we want to again thank everyone for coming up. Lunch is available and ready, and I believe
I will bring it out.
we are going to bring it out, so please join us for lunch. But if anyone had a balloon and noticed that there was a sticker on them, maybe in addition to anyone that wrote on their balloon, the committee thought it would be a good idea to somehow provide the community with numbers that could be contacted in case they needed to reach out. Sometimes balloons get destroyed if you write on them, or something inside doesn't stay with them, so we put a sticker on the outside. And all of the numbers listed were for prevention, which Mountain View's number was provided, treatment, which Credo's number was provided, advocacy, which NERCL's number was provided, and an emergency hotline, which was the warm line. And they were all able to be fit on the sticker, and they were all put on each of the balloons. So our hope was that if and when they land and it gets in the hands of someone that is struggling themselves or knows someone that is struggling, that they'll at least have some numbers that they can contact. So again, we want to thank you and hope that everyone comes out again next year on August 31st, as this will be an annual event. So please join us for lunch and have a good rest of your day.